Our group topic is China and US, the cooperation in clean energy. So, in the context of global warming, the frequency and intensity of extreme weather have increased, including extreme heat, heavy precipitation, drought, and other extreme weather, which has caused great disruption to social production and the living order. In this case, we mainly focus on extreme heat and its influence on energy shortage. Both China and US are going through significant impacts from the extreme heat. According to the data released by the National Climate Center of China Meteorological Administration, China's hot weather in 2022 was the longest since 1961, lasting 64 days, and 262 weather stations have daily maximum temperatures that exceeded the historical extremes. In America, the extreme hot becomes commonplace nationally. The temperature data from the CDC shows that nearly 1/5 of the Americans receive severe effects from extreme heat. So as a consequence of extreme heat, people need to use more energy to survive in a heat wave. The demand for energy significantly increased in this situation. Additionally, some renewable energy resources that are highly depend on the weather changes, such as wind, solar, and hydropower, are more susceptible to weather extremes and more dramatic production fluctuations. Generally, extreme heat causes an imbalance between clean energy supply and demand, which is a shortage of clean energy. So, as the two carbon emission countries in the world, if China and United States cooperate with each other, then this shortage of energy would be maximally remitted. On October 10 and 2021, the United States and America issued a joint declaration during the United Nations Climate Change Conference, indicating that the two countries will work together on clean energy and other issues to reach the goal of the carbon neutrality. However, we also met a series of obstacles during this research and alternative policy. China and US exist a lot of the distrust between the two countries. Also, COVID-19 spillover to the supply chain hinders the communication and transportation. But anyway, on the topic of a clean energy cooperation, it does have visibilities in political field, financial, and technical energy resources field. For the political field, first, a bilateral fund will bring Chinese investment into the clean energy sector and provide opportunities for cooperation. The China-California Clean Technology Cooperation Fund was established. The California government policy supports this fund and will establish a database for this. In the process of implementing clean energy cooperation, there is also a need for national policies to be implemented at the same time, such as national policy support, reduction of the trade barriers, and more open policy. There is also a need for clean energy-related infrastructures, such as a new energy transportation, pipelines, shipping, and aviation. In this process, both China and the United States need to strengthen the clean energy infrastructure. Moreover, the two countries have established a joint clean energy research center, which promotes the complementary scientific and technological cooperation. At the same time, the Paris Climate Agreement, China's domestic and diplomatic transition to international convergence, has given China access to international clean energy-related technologies. In addition to Paris Climate Agreement, a favorable and open international environment and a less hostile public opinion environment towards the US would further facilitate mutually beneficial cooperation goals and outcomes. And on the financial side, as in the case of the China-California Clean Technology Cooperation Fund established, as we mentioned before, the California government is actively working with the local companies to use the Clean Technology Fund to reach out to Chinese market. And as for Chinese side, China has used this fund to set high targets and create domestic demand for clean energy technologies. On the technical support side, a variety of the new energy sources have been discovered to alleviate the traditional energy crisis and are new ways to solving the existing climate problems. China and the US are rich in the shale gas reserve and have a solid foundation for cooperation in areas such as the nuclear power. When it comes to the technology support, we have to mention the discovery and exploitation of new energy sources. Both China and the US are major new energy countries. For example, shale gas is a clean, efficient energy resources and chemical raw material. With 1,275 trillion cubic feet of the shale gas, China has the largest shale gas reserves in the world, and U.S. shale gas reserves are 860 trillion cubic feet. The U.S. and China account for 32% of the world's shale gas reserves. The same goes for the use of the combustible ice and nuclear power sources. And formally, because of the political, economical, technological, and energy reserve advantages, this clean energy cooperation can be implemented in concrete steps and lead to a win-win situation. Specific steps can be implemented as follows. Government to government carry out the clean energy policies and the regulations. Intergovernmental organizations, bilateral trade agreement, energy cooperation agreement, and a common goal agreement. For economic cooperation between the enterprises, each energy company will look for cooperation interest. And the current situation is that China provides funding and US currently lacks investment funds. China needs clean energy technologies and US has an advantage in this field. Under this situation, China and US could reach the cooperation which both fill each other's shortage. With the help of the government, companies provide the public service or market-based products, making this clean energy cooperation more widely applied. And it is not just the so-called politicians and the entrepreneurs who benefit from the implementation of this cooperation, but also the local government and our ordinary city residents. Obviously, the politicians and entrepreneurs who make the clean energy cooperation possible can benefit from their reputations and future career prospects. But we, as the ordinary city stewards, we also benefit from this cooperation by getting cheap energy and living in an improved and better environment. The local government can also reduce the taxes on pollution, thus creating a win-win situation for both government and residents. However, there are potential problems with this cooperation. For example, the US severely restricts high technology exports to China, and domestic party disputes in the US are not conducive to policy coherence, and there is a risk of repeated agreement jumps on climate issues. This situation will cause the difficulties in a long-term cooperation between China and US. Further, US-China trade frictions will impact the technological sector, such as international conflicts lead to a higher energy prices and increase the energy tensions between countries. From an energy technology perspective, China's experience with coal is of little significance to the oil-based United States. This technological asymmetry can result in a narrow market for Chinese coal using technologies in the United States, which is not conducive to technology deals. But at the same time, the existing mining methods for new energy resources are simple and crude, which may harm the environment. So, faced with the cooperation between China and the United States on clean energy, U.S. Secretary General Guterres said, following the 2019 Climate Action Summit, countries that generate half of the world carbon pollution pledged to remain carbon neutral. And U.S. government commitment to return to the Paris Agreement brought that number to 2/3, but we still have a long way to go. As we just on the path on improving climate extremes and developing clean energy, we are confident that the generation of this clean energy cooperation can accelerate the achievement of the midterm carbon neutrality goal in the 21st century and partly promote a healthy US-China partnership. Thanks for listening.